All right, good morning, fam. Welcome to the Yanagida podcast show, where on today's episode, we'll be talking about health, fitness, and mindset to living an energy rich life. I'm your host, Justin Yanagida, and today's episode, we have a special guest, my friend Leslie Trujillo, who encouraged me to start this whole thing. Also encouraged me to write this book, Fighting Sickness with Fitness. Got a forward from our coach, Todd Durkin, shout out. And before I go into her credentials and everything, she is just one of the most positive and giving person that I know that is in the fitness industry, and I'm so grateful. Leslie is a professor, a co-author of the book Dear Her, strength and conditioning coach, mindset coach, former Division I tennis player, and who has helped coach alongside Pete Carroll at USC, who I love so much. I don't have my Seahawks gear right now, but dang. So, Leslie, welcome to the show. And I want to just kind of share for everybody, were you always this positive and giving and just such a caring person? I mean, were you always this way, or how did you get started?
Man, can I just say that I'm going to bring you to every class, every course, everything that intro. You have so much energy. I love it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Having energy, something I did always have. Being positive was something I did not always have. So growing up, I was, very just energetic all the time. Do major tantrums. I was a headache for my mom. I was a problem child. I'm getting paid back with my kids. My mom would always tell me, you're getting paid back 2 times, but I'd be like, whatever. But now I'm like, yep. And I was, bossy, and I played sports, and I was just loud, and hyper, and sports was my release. So that, that was my energy wise. But I was not always positive. Because I was always like in my head, and I started, being very critical about myself, and I had self-esteem issues growing up. And on the outside, I looked like happy and the clown and fun and positive, but on the inside, it was I had insecurity. So I would fight it by showing it on the outside, but not having it on the inside, And
Wow.
I was basically trying to fake it but I was struggling with the becoming of it because I didn't have a coach. I didn't have tools. I didn't know how to become positive. I just had some issues. And so growing up and going through a lot of stuff, and of course, we've all had our hardships and trials and things. I started to seek coaching and started to figure out, like, why am I so miserable? Like, inside. I don't want to be like this. I don't want to be stressed. I don't want to doubt myself. I don't want to have like these fears, and I need help to be myself. I knew, when you have like you're supposed to be something or feel something, but you just weren't feeling that way, and you're like, I don't know what's wrong with me. Like, why I know I can be happy and positive and light and free and have peace, but I don't. And why don't I,
I feel that 100% too. Dang.
Yeah, so it was a lot of searching. And then once I got coaching and found some tools and found things, I just continued to do those things. And as you work on getting the darkness out, then you allow the light to come in.
Wow. Darkness out, light come in. I like that. So what are some of the coaching and the tools that helped you get to where you are now?
One of the main, I've worked with different coaches. One of the main was to evaluate my thinking. Like what were the patterns of my thoughts that were making me feel bad or having these things? And then another thing was my behaviors.
Behaviors.
That was causing me to feel like guilt or shame or depression, or, because I wasn't maybe, so for example, you're like, I want to be happy, I want to be fit, I want to feel good, but then I'm not exercising, or I'm just sitting on the couch, or I'm drinking, or I'm eating ice cream every day, So you gotta look at what do I want and do my behaviors and does my thinking patterns match what I want, right?
Wow.
Or like looking at limiting beliefs, like I'm
Limiting
not good enough,
beliefs.
I'm not smart
Mm.
enough, I can't be in a capable, good relationship. You know, I don't want to get hurt, so I'm going to put
Yes.
up walls, and I got to be strong, and like all these
Mm.
things that I had to
Wow.
I had to really look at and go deep and be honest, you know,
Uh-huh.
and not just because a lot of my life is like, look at my resume, look at what I've done. Like I've been salutatorian, I've been a good athlete, I have a scholarship in college, I got 2 masters, right? It's like, look at the outside things that I've done. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't show you like how I'm really feeling because I want to be tough and I want to be liked and I want to be respected. And so I had to
Mm.
be honest and be like, what is really going on? And I had to be honest with someone so that they could help me, right? So that's, I
Wow.
think, another huge thing is to be honest with yourself and to really look at what's going on.
Holy moly. So like it's almost like you're talking about being transparent and like
Mhm.
opening up and being vulnerable and sharing all that because just like what you were saying, like, having that negative thoughts and depression. And that's also the reason why I started seeking out people too. And, you literally pop like this was 3, 4 retreats ago, the previous San Diego retreat. I remember being there, and you're one of the first people who just stood up and said, "Hey guys, I'm Leslie." When we're all introducing everybody, and I'm here to be of service to the people here. And I remember just thinking, like, dang, like, what has she overcome to become like this jam diamond? And I'm just like thinking like, oh my gosh, like this must have been a lot. And that's what I walked over to you and you introduced me to Kelly and like the rest is history. So wow,
But
that
that's
is
what I love
incredible.
about you, Justin, and that's what I remembered. I mean,
Hmm.
so I've been in the mastermind for 14 years,
14
and
years.
yeah, or 13, however long it is.
That's amazing.
And I'll tell you, the first one, I didn't feel like that. I didn't feel like I'm here to help people and be of service and give what I
Uh,
have. First one, I didn't feel like I belonged there. I felt like a fake and a phony. I didn't have any money. I just got in a car accident. I slept in my car because I couldn't
what?
afford the hotel, and it was it.
What? What?
Um, yeah, so that's what I think the thing is, you'll never go wrong in investing in yourself, ever.
Oh, that's the
Coaching
quote.
and right? And so I did. I showed up, even though I didn't feel like I belonged. I didn't feel like I had anything to give, and I didn't have any money, right?
Wow.
But then going through growing and everything, and then to that point where you were, I was like, I want to help. I want to, be there. But what I love about you is that you were right on it. You're like, hey, can I talk to you? Can I ask you
Mm.
questions? Like I've never had anyone that when I've said I'm here to be of service and to help and what questions I've never had anyone like come up to me and actually ask.
I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. And everything he just said, I was kind of feeling the first time I was there. I literally walked into the wrong room uh, to Todd's, I think it was P10 group. I walked into the wrong room. That's how I met him. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm in the wrong room. He's like, welcome, young man. Thanks for coming from Hawaii and all that. I was like, wow. And everything you were saying, I don't belong here. I don't feel like I'm worthy enough. I'm surrounded by all these great other trainers. And, I just said, what the heck? I have nothing to lose. I'm going to be open book. And I think it was because maybe it was Todd or one of the other speakers had said earlier about like, just be vulnerable, just admit what you don't know and learn from it. And so I remember like going right to you, like, listen, what is this like? What is this whole podcast thing like? And then I remember asking, how can I support the Dear Her project and this? And so, yeah, I read the book and, learned. I was just like, wow, these are some great nuggets in there. And every single time, the thing about you, Leslie, even the last, or even the last retreat too, but the fall retreat, I specifically remember being in Colorado. And you remember like right after we ate lunch, we're just sitting after lunch and we're just chatting. And like that, I don't even know how long that was, but that was a real deep talk about like, these are the things and this is that, and this is what you're gonna probably go through. And I remember I was going through insecurities at that time and just always kind of overcoming something, my own depression. And you really, really made a difference in that. I mean, everyone's great, but like there are a few people who really made a difference in my life. And I'm so thankful for that, Leslie. So, I want to just kind of go into the book too, because the book is so powerful. When I was reading through all the different stories, lessons, and metaphors, not only in fitness, but also mindset, which I think is so important. And the one story I particularly remember is the bamboo story that you shared. And that I really like that. That stuck with me. And I was just wondering, could you share how that story relates to athletes, coaches, or just life overall?
Oh yeah, for sure. So I love what you talked about in our meeting about insecurities and all that. And I just want people to know that that's common. We have it, you know. And whenever we're gonna try something new or do something new, we're gonna struggle. It's just human nature. Just like a baby, like they didn't all of a sudden come out and then they were like walking. You
Mm.
know, they were crawling barely. You know, first they were just doing nothing.
That's true. Yeah.
And then sitting and then like falling over, right?
Yeah.
And then rocking back and forth, and then they crawl, and then and so there's some struggle there at the beginning of everything. And we understand that, like when it comes to babies or when it comes to kids or like learning a new thing, but we forget that with ourselves. So
Mm.
just understand that there's going to be some struggle, and as you go through it and you continue to go through it, then that will become your strength. And that's our main thing of the book, is that your struggle will become your strength. And that goes into the butterfly story, right? That's before
Mhm.
the bamboo story. So the butterfly
Mhm.
story is a caterpillar, and then it's a cocoon, and then within the cocoon, it's struggling, and that's where it develops its wings so that it can fly.
Yes.
So that's
Oh.
also a great lesson for coaches and for parents, because
Oh.
we don't want our kids to struggle. We don't want our
Mm.
athletes to struggle. We just want them to get it and everything's happy. But if
Mm.
they don't struggle, they're not going to get their own strength so that they can fly. So
Wow.
that's important on that end. But the bamboo story, I love this one because it's basically saying, like, if you have a seed and it's planted,
Mhm.
right? So you have this idea, you have this thought, you have this goal, you have this dream, and you're working on it, and you're plowing the land, you're watering it, sun, and nothing happens in the first year. You're like, I'm going to school, I'm
Mm.
working hard, I'm practicing my skills, and I ain't seeing the coach isn't noticing, I'm not getting playing time, like, what's happening, right? I'm not
Yeah.
getting more money, I'm not getting more recognition. Second
Mhm.
year comes and nothing happens, but you keep working on it, right?
Mm.
Third year, fourth year, then boo, fifth year, nothing. And then all of a sudden in the fifth year, five, the bamboo sprouts up, right? It sprouts up big and
Mm.
strong. And what was happening in those 5 years that you weren't seeing the growth on the outside world was that you were developing your roots. So you were developing the strength and the foundation to handle the storms that are going to come, the
Mhm.
rain, the sun, the wind, like people trying to climb on you, right? Whatever
Oh
that
my
is,
goodness.
be able to handle it because you have a strong foundation. So, okay, so to understand that it's going to take time, and success
Mhm.
is not just going to happen overnight. And so, as you are working towards your goals and towards your dreams, visualize it, like see that big bamboo, see that big tree, see that big whatever, have gratitude for it happening, knowing it's going to, but
Mhm.
take action, positive action. And you know what? That bamboo or that might tree or that goal might
Mhm.
not look or come out exactly how you wanted it to, but you'll still be
Mm.
better and stronger for it because of the work that you put in.
Holy moly. Vision, gratitude, and take action. And it
Yeah.
might not look like how you initially intended. And how do you keep people going, especially like athletes? And I know you were saying there's a misconception that athletes like to work out. And how do you help the athletes that they want to be champions or great at their sport or in life? And how do you prop them up and get their mindset okay with the hard times and the hard workouts? How do you do that? Because that's so important.
Yeah, so you have to, hold on, my puppy's playing with her bone. Stop it.
Hey, yay, 2 points for puppy.
So, number one is you got to get them to believe in themselves. Because we, as humans, we work for survival first and performance second. And so if we're in fear, we're in threat, we're not gonna go all out. We're gonna, hold ourselves back. And fear shows up in different ways. Fear shows up like procrastination. It shows up in not going 100%, not going all out. Because most people have a fear of not being good enough and the fear of not being loved. So if
they're not being loved.
Yeah, so if they give it their all and then they fail, per se, then there's the proof that, oh, I'm not good enough. I suck. No one's going to love me, right? So it's kind of a protective mechanism to like not go all out and not give everything because then it won't hurt as much, right?
Wow.
So understanding that is you have to let them know that, be confident that they can do it, and no matter what, they're still going to be loved. They're still going to be good enough. They're still going to be respect. Doesn't mean if they fail or not, but let's try it. Let's push it. Let's go for it. Let's see what you can do. And then you have to connect what they want with their behaviors, right? So one of the things I talk about with my athletes that I got from Urban Meyer from his book was that you need to upgrade your habits to meet your goals, or you need to downgrade your goals to meet your habits.
Oh.
Right? So yes, I had a student athlete who did, because we're at the community college, and so it's not as strict as like a Division I. They're not on scholarship. So you don't have as much pull per se on with their behavior. And so he didn't show up for workouts. And I was like, hey, where were you? And he was like, I'm not going to lie, coach. I slept in. And I was like, all right, that's fine. But your goal is Division I football. But your habits are, still at the JC, like to maybe D2, NAIA, or you're not going to play football after this level. So you have to look at, are you going to upgrade your habits? That means be consistent, be early, work hard, because they're doing that at the D1 level. They're doing it every day.
100%.
Are you going to get there, or do you need to lower that goal where maybe you don't want to go D1? Maybe you're good just being here or playing rec or playing, with your friends on the beach. Like, you have to be real with it. What do you want? And so having those conversations with them.
Wow, those are some tough talks and some real talk. And one of the things that kind of goes right into it is when you're talking to me how motivation is good, but it's also about self-discipline. And like, what are some like of the self-discipline, I guess, tactics or habits that you see in champion athletes or athletes who are on track to become high level?
Yeah. I on this on my own thing, like discipline over motivation all the time, because you're not going to feel like it 100%. I have trained athletes for 20 years, and I mean thousands of athletes, and I would say maybe five to 10 that I know that are like boom boom super disciplined on themselves, like without needing a coach or needing someone to help guide them along those ways. So and I'm the same way. Like, I love working out. I just don't like getting started on working out.
Like, confessions of coaches. That's the truth. Yeah.
But once you come in, I have someone pushing me. Like, I'm like, let's go.
Yes.
So you have to set up yourself for discipline. You have to set up your structure. Like, train your feet, basically. Train your feet to go to the gym even when you don't feel like it. Train your body, like have some habits or some rituals that get you like ready, right? So maybe you listen to music before, or maybe you put your shoes by the door, or you have to put it on your alarm clock, or you have to set it up and try and do it earlier, like working towards whatever your goals are, because we have a limited amount of willpower, right? And as the day goes by, we're using more there's a book called Willpower, it's pretty good. we use more self-control throughout the day. So that means at the end of the day, we have less self-control to go after what we want to go, or unless you are trained yourself to do that. If you have a 6 p.m. class and you've trained yourself to show up, you're more likely to show up because you don't want to disappoint your friends or your coaches, or you're paying for it, whatever, right?
Yeah.
So set for no matter how you're feeling, you're going to show up, right? So write it down, put it somewhere where you see it, like your vision, your dream vision board, your goal. Like write it down. I have on my phone, I put my big 5 goals for the year. I made it on canvas and I put it on my phone. So every time, because I'm too addicted to my phone, that's something I need to work on. But every time I look at my phone, I see my 5 goals. So it reminds me of my intention and what I'm working on this year. So have it somewhere where you can see and remind yourself.
See, that's so important about the vision board, having all these things. Like, what are some of your personal habits that set you up to keep this consistency for you?
I have coaches. I have coaches that hold me accountable, because by myself, I'll do it later. Like, I have teammates like in the mastermind group, and that every Friday they keep me accountable. Like, I've been paying for this nutrition course that I wanted to take for like 2 years.
What course is
that?
that?
I haven't even barely signed on to it. So I told them, I need you guys to hold me accountable, right? So now they're like holding me accountable, and I'm doing it, and now I'm trying to bust it out. Because I have people that are holding me accountable. So I have a coach.
Accountability.
Accountability is huge. And then I try to set it up in my day. So I look at like, what are my 5 goals, or who, not necessarily also what I want to do, but who I want to be, right? Because I have like so many 5 goals, like 3 of them are what I want to do, but 2 of them are who I want to be. Like, I want to be more spiritual and more positive and connected. And I want to be a better mom and wife, right? So it's about who I'm being. Although you can put discipline and put habits into that to be that, but it's more also of an intention, right? So then I'm reading books on it, or I listen to podcasts all the time, or I listen to positive things. Like, energy is everything.
Yes.
So I try to make sure that I'm in the best energy state so that I can achieve my goals and dreams. And that means fueling my body with healthy foods, fueling my mind with happy, positive thoughts, and then fueling my spirit with positive people, and teammates.
Holy cow. So it really is kind of like a mind, body, heart kind of whole package we're talking about. That's the first time, like, you rarely hear that, what you were just talking about, who to be goals. And is that something you started doing recently, having the who to be goals?
I was with another mentor on that a while back, I would say 12 years ago.
12 years ago. Wow.
Yeah, because one time I was doing my goals, and then this was before I was married. This is, I was single, and just like, she's like, these are great goals, but they're all business goals. She's like, what about your life? Like, you're not just building a career, you're building a life. That's what she told me. And I remember that stuck with me. It's like, she's like, who do you want to be? Who do you want to surround yourself with? How do you want to live? Do you want to be married? Do you want to have kids? Like, what does your life look like? Not just what you want to do career-wise. And that was the first time I was like, oh, and I always thought, like, I had to have my career, and I had to have everything set, and I had to be financially free before I could be happy, or before I could have a family. Like, I didn't know that I could actually start working on being happy and being free now, and that would help with my career later,
See, that is so profound, like, because you're right. It's a lot of people might think, and even myself included at times, of like thinking that we got to do something before we can be happy. And just that. I mean, there's so much nuggets, Leslie. This is crazy. Oh my gosh, goals and visions. And so I was also curious too, Leslie, what about like you always talk about focusing on the process and being present and getting the reps in. How important is that, like getting the reps in of whatever it is in life? Where I know you're talking to me at one point about personal life, about how you're always showing up in your relationships and your family. What, how important is that consistency on like doing the reps?
Oh, respect the rep.
Respect the
Respect
reps.
that. That's everything. And it's something I'm constantly working on in every area of my life. Because it's about, time. And so how I look at it is, I'll give you this example. So I remember in college,
Mm-hmm.
I played tennis in college, and that's when we first got into strength and conditioning.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember that there was the incline bench, right? And
Uh-huh.
I sucked at it. I was so weak. Like, I couldn't even do the bar. And so I was so embarrassed, and I didn't want to ask for a spotter. So I would just skip it. I was like, if I just skip it, when I did it, like it won't show that I suck, right? But that didn't make me any better at all. Right? And so,
Oh.
and that shows up in life when something's hard or I'm not great at it, or it might be a little difficult, or I might look like a fool. I might, fail. I mean, I'm like, well, you know what? I just won't do that. And no one will know that I suck at it. Right? So I have to understand, like, in order to improve in different areas of my life, I'm going to have to suck. Going to have to put in the work and put in the time, and it's going to feel uncomfortable, and it's going to just bug me because I'm a perfectionist per se. Like, I like to be good at stuff. So I tend to do what I'm good at, right? Instead of going, okay, where can I struggle? And then I have to understand, like, that it is a process, and I just keep showing up, and I keep showing up, and I keep showing up. And I learn, and I suck, and then I get better, and I fail, and then I struggle. But when you're struggling and you're present, you're actually more engaged than if you were just like, oh, I got this, and you just go through and whatever, right? Like the Talent Code, or some certain books where they study, like, the 10,000 hour rule.
10,000 hour rule.
Like, there's different theories on it, but basically, they found that deliberate practice is what makes you great. And what deliberate practice is when you're present and engaged, and you're struggling and you're figuring it out. And you're so, like, say they, like a violinist or whatever, and she's like, she's like trying to figure it out. And she's like, what are the intricacies? How do I do this? Right? When you watch kids and they're figuring out how to ride a bike, or how to climb, or how to balance. It's not perfect, but they're like, and they're like, but they're present. We can learn so much from kids. They're present, and they're engaged, and they're involved in it, and they're figuring it out. So with us,
so true.
The same thing. Like, how can I be deliberate in practicing this thing? And it's going to be uncomfortable, and I'm not going to feel great about myself, but doing it and practicing it,
Holy moly. And speaking of practicing and doing, what was like the latest thing or project that you started that where you felt that like you're like, oh man, this is all brand new to me, and I'm gonna learn as I go, deliberate practice, get the reps in?
Oh, it's my current podcast.
Hey.
Yeah, so my podcast is called The Developing Athlete, and on Thursdays I interview people, and I feel pretty comfortable with that. Like, I still, like, when I listen, I'm like, oh, I said too much, or I said like, or I say right, I like these little things. But on Mondays I do a short mini piece, like on mindset or positive, or like little things from the Dear Her book. So in the back of the Dear Her book, it's letter, we have thoughts to remember. And so I'm just talking for like 5 to 10 minutes about my thoughts on that. And that's really uncomfortable for me. Because I'm used to, like, give me a team, give me students, give me people, and I can talk to you. I can da-da-da-da-da. But like, me with just the mic, just sharing my thoughts, it's just uncomfortable for me. And I can't tell you how many times I record and I'm like, I don't like that. Stop.
There we go. Stop.
And then I'll do one song and it'll be like 5 to 6 minutes. And I'm like, I don't like that. I'm like, no, you're like, no, just send it and just shut up. Just do it, because you're teaching it all the time. So I'm still in the uncomfortable stage for my podcast, but there's only one way to get better is to keep going through it.
Oh my goodness. That is so incredible, because I feel like that with this sometimes. I'm just like, did I really just ask that? Or did I really just say that same thing? And I'm like, just keep it in there.
Yep.
So,
And
wow.
The podcast is cool is your podcast that you're starting. It's going to be a journey, but it's also going to be a window of your growth. So if you watch or listen to your first podcast, and then listen to your 10th or whatever, and then 50th, and then 100th, you'll be like, wow, look at how I've grown, right? So same thing, like if you're watching kids and you're watching a video when they're younger, and then 10 years, and then you're like, wow, look how they've grown. And sometimes you don't notice it because it could, be so fast and so small. But when you look back, you see it. We see it with kids and puppies. Like this, we have a brand new puppy, she's 4 months, but she's huge compared to what she was a month ago. My son's friends came to visit us. They're in puberty, so they're 14, 15. We haven't seen them since the beginning of COVID. So for 3 months, they come in, their voices are changed. They're like 2 inches taller. Like,
who are you? Yeah, exactly. Who are you? Everything is changing.
But that's what happens. Life is about growth and change and progress.
Oh my goodness, Leslie, this is such an enlightening podcast. I'm like learning so much, and just wow, I'm thankful for this moment. And one of the other things that I actually got a question from this is, what are some of the common like mistakes? I know we're changing gears now, but what are some of the common mistakes that you see in athletes that maybe inhibit them from reaching their goal?
Caring too much about what other people think.
Oh,
I think it's a huge thing, I've noticed that there's not as many leaders per se in youth that are willing to speak up and call their friends out and do what's uncomfortable, right? So if your friend's not going hard, most people you just kind of see it, and they're like, instead of going like, dude, come on, like push yourself, let's go. Like they don't want to be uncomfortable, right? Or then you have athletes that go hard and they work hard, but then the other people are like, stop, you're making us look bad. Like, why are you going so hard? So like instead of going, I'm gonna go for it and I'm gonna bring you with me and we're gonna be excellent and we're gonna do this together. And you might be mad at me because I'm pushing you, but you're gonna love me in the end. I don't see that as much. So I would just say, don't have to worry about people liking you. Worry about them respecting you more so. Like respect your work ethic, respect that you stand up for what's right, respect that you always show up and you're pushing themselves even when you don't feel like it. Respect that you're coachable. Some people are like, oh, you're a coach's pet, or you do. No, they're just working their butt off.
It's working hard, getting it in. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. I like that. Like, don't worry about being liked. Think about more the respect and the work ethic, the person.
Respect.
Wow.
And then the other thing to say is doing things without having to be told. Like they'll say, there's that quote of when no one's looking, what are you doing? Or I forget the quote, but basically it's like when you see, I've been training and then I'll go walk through the gym and I'll see an athlete just by themselves, just shooting some baskets. I'm like, oh, I'll go film it. I'm like, that's so cool. Like they're in there and they don't have to be, and they're doing those extra things, or they're going to bed early, because they want to
bed early.
Yeah, so like I tell all athletes they should be in bed by like 10:30 because that's when their human growth hormone, their testosterone, their body starts to recover. And if they're going to bed past that, it's interfering with that. And that's hard for a lot of teenagers and youth. But I'm like, well, how great do you want to be?
Oh, that's the question.
Yeah. So that is huge. Showing up early, being ready, being prepared, cleaning up after themselves. saying thank you to their coach and to their teammates, even when they don't feel like it. You know, those little things of doing stuff without having to be told, that shows your character of who you are. I think that's important.
You know, and that kind of reminds me of what you were telling me at one of the retreats about how it costs nothing or no special talent to be kind, to be respectful, and to just care about other people. And I remember you telling me that, and it kind of just goes in hand with what you just said. It doesn't cost anything to show up early, say thank you, show appreciation, do more, stay late, do all these things. And I'm curious, how do you help the athletes who are not so much of a rock star? How do you help develop them, moving them up? Is it certain conversations you have with them, or like what are some of the things that you do? Because I'm really curious myself.
Well, when I'm training a team, I try not to make anyone feel like they're the rock star and they're the bench star or whatever, right? Like
That's huge.
everyone's important. Every single person's important. And that's how it totally is everywhere. Like I don't care if you're getting the most points, your team is only as good as that last person on the roster that's pushing you in practice, because you guys are competing against each other, right? Yes. So the better bring that last person up, the better your competition is going to be every day at practice, which means that the better you're going to be prepared for your game. So I just try to treat everyone like they're a rock star. Treat everyone like they're a rock star, because they're just as responsible. If I don't care if you didn't play 1 minute, you're just as responsible for the success of the team as that person that played the whole game. Because your energy, your commitment, you're showing up, when you're working out, when you're pushing each other, that's important to the team. That's important to the group sacrifice. So everybody counts. And so just try and treat everybody like a rock star. And you never know. You can have that rock star that got hurt. And then so all of a sudden, that last person on the bench is all of a sudden starting, right? Because of whatever happened.
Gosh.
I had a team that actually happened to just a random turn of events. Like one student had a concussion, one student like sprained the thing, and you know, all these different issues. So where we had people that usually wouldn't start or wouldn't play, we're starting and competing the whole thing. Take her. Okay, that's fine. Sorry, my daughter came in.
No, I love that. You know, one thing, Leslie, I love that you're all about family too. But yeah, go ahead.
So everyone, I'm all about family.
Oh, and so, there's a dog.
Okay,
what's the dog's name?
This is Gigi.
Gigi.
In honor of Gigi Bryant.
Hey.
Yeah, just treating everyone like a rock star and lifting them up, and because it's important. Because when you're not getting any recognition, and you're not playing it, that's hard. That's hard to be just practicing and going all out, and then every day you're sitting on the bench, and that takes more strength and resilience than being the starter or the superstar, and understanding your role as someone that's going to help them get better. So they need just as much lifting up, if not more, to thank them also for what they're doing and their sacrifice for the team.
Oh my gosh. So it seems like you just tie everything up with leading from the front, where you're instilling all these values, you're sharing the importance of the team's responsibility as a whole. And like Leslie, I'm curious, like this, we're reaching some of our last questions, but I mean, this is amazing. If with everything you know now, what would you tell, or what advice would you give to your 18-year-old self?
So,
what were you doing at 18, first off?
I was being stupid. Thinking I know it all, and that I mean, there's a lot. We wrote Dear Her, which was our letters to our younger selves, and it was all aspects of it. And then I was a commencement speaker at a high school, and I wrote that letter. I wrote, Dear Graduate, and then I was telling them what I would say. And there's so much, but I'll just say like this. I'll do it like the commencement speech. So I did it as legacy, like remember legacy.
Yes.
So number one, L is love the lessons. You're going to learn a lot. You're going to make a lot of mistakes. You're going to get your heart broken a lot. You're going to cry. You're going to fail. You're going to, but love the lessons, because everything's teaching you something. And life's not happening to you. It's happening for you. And it's actually causing you to rise up and to become the person that you need to be. So that was L for love the lessons. E is you are enough. You are enough. You might need to grow. You might need to learn. You might need to develop skills, but you can do anything if you're willing to put in the work for it and to learn. So you are enough. So don't worry about that you're not, and just go for, your dreams and show up even when you're afraid. G is gratitude. Be grateful for it all. Be grateful before it even shows up. And the thing about gratitude is you got to be grateful for the stuff that didn't work out as well. You got to be grateful for the hard times as well, because all of that has made you who you are. All of it has made you who you are and prepared you for what's to come. And then the A is pay attention to your thoughts. Because it took a long time to learn the power of my thinking. And your thoughts can be your best friend or your biggest enemy. And so you got to be able to control it and speak louder. If your thoughts are like, oh, I can't do it, make your voice louder than your thoughts. So if you're like, oh, I can't, I suck, or whatever, no, you can. We got this. Let's go. Right? So make that louder. And then C was control your choices. So pay attention to you can choose any decision you want in life, but just know that there's going to be consequences, positive or negative. At 18 through 28, I probably made a lot of bad choices. I did make a lot of bad. Right? But the thing is you can always choose again. But I would try to think about your choice before you make it, because I know there's some of them that I just was, I got it. I didn't think about like, where was that going to take me? I didn't think that decision through, right? I didn't play it out. I just was like, this is what I want, and I want it now. And then I'd, be heartbroken or be failed or just be a mess. The why is that you are unique. There's no single person like you. No one has your same experiences, thoughts, beliefs, attitudes, personality, gifts, talents that you do. So don't compare yourself to anybody else. Just show up and be you and be proud and go for it.
Dang, that could be the mic drop right there. Oh my gosh, Leslie. Wow, one of the last questions. We're almost, this has been such a fun interview, Leslie. This is unbelievable. And you're so excited and passionate about a lot of things in your life, but what is the one thing that you're most excited about right now at this time? There's a lot you're excited about.
Yeah. I just I love seeing other people's journeys, and I'm excited about being a part of it. So I'm excited that my husband and right now my husband and son and kids, they're camping. So they're doing adventures. So I'm excited that they're taking adventures and exploring life and, trying new things. And my daughter just shaved her eyebrow, she's gonna be triple what I was, and I got to be prepared. But, I'm excited for their growth. I'm excited for all my athletes being to figure out how we can get back to sports and life and stuff like that. It's a challenge right now. To figure out, things, but I'm also excited that this is an opportunity to learn and to grow. And then for myself, I'm just excited about still growing, still learning, still figuring out how I can contribute. I like to work a lot and do a lot of things. So I'm excited about figuring out when I can relax a little bit.
There we go. Yes. And going on that, there's just so much things on this, and I'm sure a lot of people want to check you out. And where can people find out more about you, Leslie? I'll put the link for the Dear Her book out, but also where can they find you?
Yeah, so like you said, the Dear Her book is a compilation of all those letters. I have the
Mm-hmm.
Developing Athlete podcast
Mm-hmm.
where, I interview people and then share my thoughts on Monday that I'm working on.
There we
And
go.
on Instagram, I'm Leslie T _ Coach C, Leslie
Mm.
T _ Coach C. And then on Facebook, I'm Leslie Cordova Trujillo. So those are the ways. My website is lesliectrujillo.com. So people can reach out to me, have any questions or concerns. I would love to
Love it.
help.
Oh my God. We'll put all that in the description, Leslie. And one of the last questions, we always ask this question because our book is called Fighting Sickness with Fitness. And we asked Todd this too. And I'm curious, what does fighting sickness with fitness mean to you when you hear that?
Oh, I think that's extremely powerful. So fighting sickness with fitness, to me, sickness can be just lack of energy. It could form many ways. It could be sickness mentally, emotionally, or spiritually. Just that heavy, dark, just not living, thriving. Basically, that's what sickness means to me. And whether it is actual something that we have to physically fight because it's real, or because it's man-made and it's our own thoughts and things that we're bringing on ourselves. Because I know there's a lot of times where I felt like I was sick and but I wasn't physically sick. It was more emotionally and spiritually sick, and it was more my own behaviors and thoughts doing that, right? So fighting sickness with fitness, to me, fitness is everything. It's body, mind, and spirit, and feeling well. And as you show up and you thrive and you work out physically, mentally, emotionally, you are lifting your cells to a higher level. You are, bringing them to who you need to be. And so when you're thriving and you're a higher energy and a higher vibration and you have more energy, you're going to fight off whatever the not feeling well in different areas are. So I think fitness is powerful because of, like I said, to me, the darkness is part of us. Light and dark is part of us, right? And that sickness a lot of times feels dark and feels heavy, and however it's showing up. And like you can have physical stuff, like real stuff, like cancers, diabetes, but it's physically proven that fitness and lifting those cells up and moving goes to war on those things. But I think even more so, it goes to war on them and it fights them and it lifts them up. So it doesn't get rid of the dark, but it shines the light so that it's not taking over your life anymore. And it's there, there's going to be dark and light days, but the fitness just shines the light so bright that it's not going to overpower you.
Oh my goodness, Leslie. Wow. What an amazing answer. And that just goes to show all of your experience and just everything you've overcame yourself to. And Leslie, I gotta ask this too, because I need to give back to you. How can I give back to you and be of service to you, Leslie? Because you've done so much, not only for me, but because of that is through me and for other people too. And how can I give back to you, Leslie? Because I just got to give back to you.
You're doing it. You're fighting sickness with fitness. You're having a podcast. You're sharing yourself. I think the best gift that we can give to others is by being our best selves. And that's what you're doing. You're on this journey of growth within yourself and say, how can I be my best self so that I can help others be their best self? And that's the only gift that I need, is for you to continue to shine bright and continue to be that light for your community and that light for yourself, so that we can continue on this together.
Oh my goodness. And I can't wait till I can see you again at the next retreat, Leslie. Any last words for our audience before we end this show?
I would just say, whatever you're going through, someone has probably gone through it as well. So if you're struggling, find someone that has gone through that and reach out. There's nothing wrong with reaching out for help. If you are thriving, keep thriving. Surround yourself with people that are doing it the same, you know, but we are a community. You guys are Hawaii, like amazing community, support one another. You know, this is a hard time right now with everything that's going on with our nation, but I think that we need to continue to lead with light and to lead with love and not become something that we hate, but become what we want for our community and for our family and for our kids. And what would you want for that? Be that. You know, not just what would you do, but who would you be? And just be the light.
Holy moly, Leslie. That is a wrap. Leslie, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and all your experiences with us. And until next time, Leslie, let's all stay healthy and keep on fighting sickness with fitness. Boom.
Boom.
That's a wrap.